Welcome to the Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Beyond All the Reason, also known as BAR, the free-to-play open source RTS that has every single feature you've probably been looking for in recent strategy games. And coming from someone who has thousands of hours in Age of Empires, I've been having so much fun unpacking BAR, getting to learn how to play it, and you're about to figure out why players like Day9TV and Ozzy Drongo have also been playing the game as well. Now, if you do enjoy this video, this is going to be my very first beginner's guide, and there's so much depth in this game. I'm going to try to keep it at a high level so you can get in and get your hands dirty, but I will have future guides, casted games, and all kinds of stuff similar to my Age of Empires content on my channel. So make sure you subscribe down below, and I've also got a link to my Discord where you can pick up the BAR role, and I've got a general chat and a chat where I will be posting my guides as I create them. So let's get started. How do you play BAR? How do you get it on your computer? It's not on Steam. You go to beyondallreason.info or just Google Beyond All Reason and come over here to the download tab. Over here, you'll find the installation instructions, and you will download and install it on your Windows just like you might any other application. Now, before you close this website, there's a lot of good beginner info for you. I would recommend coming in here to the units tab, and you can just click through and take a look at the different units, read about what they do, or maybe come back to this after you've played a game or two and want to learn more about the units that you're building. That's kind of what I did. And as far as my perspective so far, I've been focusing on Armada. There are two factions. There's Armada and Cortex. They are very similar, but there are of course differences, which we'll cover over time. But just to keep things simple right now, we're going to start with Armada, where most players do start. And once you've downloaded that game, you can go ahead and launch it on up. It's not going to be in Steam, and it'll blink in just a second there. And there we go. And you could either dive straight into multiplayer if you're feeling really risky. That's what I did. I was kind of crazy, but I had the benefit of Twitch chat to backseat me. But I'd recommend going into single player. And you might be wondering, do I do skirmish or scenarios? Well, there are some scenarios that are kind of built for getting started. There's the Fortress Assault, Testing the Waters, Helping Hand, etc. You can read through those. But what I like personally was just kind of playing around. So what you want to do is go into skirmish. You have to delete all the AIs. If you right click them, you can actually remove them from your lobby. And then just start it up. And then from there, I'm going to basically be showing you the basic resources, how to do an opening as a frontline player, which is where I recommend starting off for your first game. The typical mode is an 8 versus 8 in multiplayer. And from there, I will turn it over to you to have fun with the game. And then you're going to come back and we'll have plenty more guides of the more advanced features of Beyond All Reason. So very excited. Here we go. Loading on up. By the way, when your game's loading, do not click anything. I noticed this screen can like bug out if you start like spamming keys or doing crazy or clicking. Just like leave it go, let it load. Okay, so the first thing you gotta do when you load into the game is decide where you're going to spawn. Now, basically there is either the concept of being a backline, and you could spawn back here, or the front line. Those are going to be the two lanes and multiplayers you're going to decide. And I recommend starting with the front line, which is what I've been doing so far, trying to master being a frontline player. By the way, if you're wondering how I did this cool drawing thing, it's kind of neat. You can't do this with any other RTSs. The other players can actually see this. If you hold the tilde key in the top left and left click, you can draw, and then you can clear it out in the bottom right. So you'll see me do that from time to time, but it's gonna be really fun for making videos. But anyways, where you're going to spawn, basically there's these different metal points, and some are worth more. Here they're all 1.8 metals. You actually notice towards the middle of the map, here's a 3.2, so like this will be a valuable spot to hold later on. But we're going to start in one of these zones that has 3 around it. And you want to be kind of right in the middle, because the goal is to maximize your commander's build time. You don't want him walking around a ton, just like villagers in Age of Empires. So he's going to be in the middle, so he can just turn, and that's the radius he basically can build from. You've got 2 resources in BAR. You've got metal and you've got energy. That is it. Okay, so you don't have to worry about a whole lot else. It's getting those resources and, of course, building your army, holding map control. And how you're going to gather this is going to be with your metal extractor. Now, you might be saying, hold on a second, FitzBro, your UI looks different. And while I'm not going to go into hotkeys and all that jazz right now, I'll show you how to get this menu. You're going to go into your settings tab, go to controls, and then under hotkeys, I've changed mine to grid optimized instead of the default. Somebody else told me to try this, and that's how I've been liking it. The biggest thing I like about the grid optimized is that you can see it's broken down by economic, combat, utility, build. It's easier to find what your buildings are and how to make them. Okay, so at the very beginning, you want to build 3 metal extractors. I'm going to queue them up before this game is started, and then I'm going to build 2 solars. Those will be for the energy. Now, There's a debate. Do you go wind or do you go solar? It's up to you, and there's a lot of factors that play into it. Some maps have more wind, some have less wind, and wind can be variable. This top number is, it could be possibly 0 wind on this map, or it could be possibly 16 wind strength. It gives you some information about you, tells you the risk. But for starting out, don't worry about it too much. Start with 2 solars always, and then build some wind, and then maybe some more solars. Figure it out from there, but don't stress out too much right now. You got wind and solar. That's all you need to worry about. Okay, I'm happy about that. I'm going to let him start building. My commander is going to spend my metal and energy. It's passively generated at these resources as I get them. Okay, there we go. Very first thing you want to do every game. 3 metals, 2 solars. That's all you got to know. And then from there, you can either choose a bot factory, a vehicle factory, or air if you want. But the front line, you probably don't want to go air. Okay, so I've got those. There's my 2 metals. You see how my commander's just been mostly spinning around, not doing too much walking, so it's maximizing the time. Then it'll build 2 solars, and then I will build this bot lab. Okay, that's done. And so you can see my passive metal going up as these are completed. And now each building in this menu, the top number, the silver, represents how much metal it costs to build that, and the bottom number is how much electricity. Now, thing to note, you can build any building at any point, but that doesn't mean you've got the resources in the bank to actually complete that building, and it might take a really, really long time. So as we get more advanced buildings in here, don't just slap down a nuclear missile silo if you don't have the resources for it. Otherwise, you're going to just be like, have 0 resources and nothing going to get built. Because if you run out of energy, then suddenly your vehicles can't produce. You can't build that metal extractor you're trying to build, etc. So be wary of how those resources build. It's kind of different from something like Age of Empires. Okay, I've got my bot lab, and what you can actually do with your commander is, or any build unit, is you can help assist a building. So I'm going to right click on that, and I'm going to train up 2 construction bots. Every game I make 3 metal extractors, 2 solars, and then I make 2 construction bots, and then I usually queue up like 10 pawns. Okay, now you can see I can actually speed it up by assisting, but I'm going to run out of energy. You can see that actually right now. I ran out of power, so see how the timer is like freaking out, doesn't know how long that's going to take. Well, we need to improve our power situation. So what I'm going to do is by focusing on that, I'm spending less energy so it can just build. But I'm going to just slap down some solars. Now, I'm going to show you a really cool hotkey. You could just click these one at a time, right? You could know how to do that. Or maybe you already knew from RTSs. You can hold shift and you could drag a whole line of solars. Or maybe you want to make a grid of them. If you hold alt and shift, watch this. Look at that. And he'll walk around and he'll build those. I like to use my commander and just queue up a bunch of solars right away. Now, if there's 0 wind, maybe don't do that. But generally, it's just going to be helpful. They're cheap. It's nice energy. But know that's going to fluctuate if the wind suddenly drops down. So be aware. Okay. So we've got my 2 bots. We've got some pawns being trained. I'm going to send 1 construction bot, and I'm going to go out and start getting some energy or some metal extractors. That's going to give me more metal income and going to be great for teching up. Now, once you get advanced bots later, you'll actually improve these to advanced metal extractors, or they call them mechs in the game a lot of time, metal extractors. But the way I like to queue it up is using this cool area mechs thing. Okay, so see this area mechs? So if instead of right-clicking, each of these individually, I can click this. And then if I left click and drag, look at that. Everything within that circle will get queued up and it will build them. Pretty neat. So that's a nice feature to get used to in this game. So you can area build your metal extractors. You can do the same thing with if you want to repair a bunch of units, whatever. There's a lot of like click and drag features here in this menu. So play around with that. Now, there are also resources on the map, by the way, that you can actually reclaim. So I can actually bring this construction bot, go over here. This rock has 26 metal in it. So if I want a quick boost, I can use that. You can see, sucked it right up. You can also reclaim your own buildings, even your own units. So there's a lot of like balancing of your economy by, maybe you've built this bot lab and now I've decided, okay, now I'm definitely not ready for this stage, but I'm going to build it anyways just because I'm crazy. I'm like, okay, I want to go to the next tech. So maybe I need more energy. So I'm going to reclaim that metal. So I told him to reclaim that. You'll see my metal will start going up pretty nicely. And then maybe then I can afford to build my next tier building and drop down my advanced bot lab. Now let me show you, like, this is something I definitely can't afford right now. Watch, when I start queuing this thing up, they'll start trying to build it. And you start trying to build it, but I will run out of resources or it will just take a very long time to build. In this case, I guess I'm not really training anything else, so I kind of have the bank to do it, but this is going to take a long time to build. You see, okay, I ran out of resources, and that timer is just now like just getting really stuck there. Okay, so you can't take up too quickly. Now that is actually how, that's like you're aging up from Age of Empires. You get your tier 2 advanced bot lab, then you can make a tier 2 construction bot, and then that unlocks anti-nukes, nukes, stronger units, different buildings, different turrets you can build. All kinds of fun with that. We're not going to go into that right now because this is just getting started. But basically, from what we've done so far, built 3 metal extractors, made 2 solars, started spamming out some wind, made some bots for protecting my front line there. And a cool feature here is you can turn the... I'm going to stop building that because we can't afford that. You can turn the repeat on. So you can queue up a mace maybe, or let's do pawns. And you can hit repeat and it will just keep building those pawns, which is very nice. Now you saw when I actually moved these units, if you right click and drag, you can draw a whole line of them, which is very cool. You can make formations very easily. It could be super fun to do all kinds of crazy stuff. You could, of course, like, you know, patrol in a circle here, or whatever it might be, right? There's all kinds of different things. I think I did that wrong. But there's all kinds of fun stuff you can do with the formation. So that's super fun. But anyways, I think we've covered enough of the basics of the game. I don't want to make this too long, but basically you want to get your metal, you want to get your energy, you want to get either a bot or a vehicle lab and start getting some tier 1 builders, start getting some mechs, start getting some resources. And the last thing I'll leave you with, you can build energy converters. So eventually you'll like have all of the mechs taken and you can turn your extra energy into metal. So you can build these energy converters. Later you can build tier 2 energy converters, and that will actually convert some of your energy into metal. So that's basically a way you build your eco later on, is you build like a generator, get a bunch of energy, make some converters, build another generator, get more energy, you get it, right? It kind of builds like that. But that should get you started in this game. Be on the lookout for some of my more advanced guides where I'll be going through, you know, all of the advanced features of the advanced bot lab, perhaps maybe the vehicles, the units, all kinds of things. I just don't want to overwhelm you for right now. But with that, I hope you enjoyed getting started with Beyond All Reason. Let me know down in the comments if this helped you out and perhaps what type of videos you're looking for. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.